Now we got to talk business. Niners have some serious decisions to make moving forward. Brandon Aiyuk, not going to be cheap. All-pro wide receiver means he's one of the top 7 dudes in the league. If he's not going to, I don't think he's going to give the Niners a bargain either.
No.
$25 million plus a year. Are the Niners prepared to pay it? What are the pros and cons? How do you see this ending up?
I think they have to, because Aiyuk is so central to what they do, that you've got the wide receiver that blocks so well and that has a chemistry with Purdy, and he fits everything they do. The team culture they want, the effort, the work ethic, it's all there. The skills, and he's ascending. He's an ascending player. He's getting better. And so you have to keep him. But if you're Aiyuk, you're going to say, look, I'm better than Debo. I want more money than him. And so the question is, are the Niners prepared to do that? I think they're going to have to, because if you don't have Aiyuk, then what? You're going to trade him and then you get a pick back?
Now you don't really have anyone who can beat man-to-man coverage at wide receiver on your team.
Right. You've got your best route runner, your best separator. Yeah. You can't get rid of him. You can't afford to.
Cannot afford to. Absolutely can't afford to. I mean, only thing is that he's going to be really expensive, and I think the Niners could do what they did with Buckner, where they're like, look, we love him. Nothing against this guy, but it's math. Should we spend, $20, $50 million a year on 2 wide receivers when we don't throw that much? In fact, we throw less than every other team in the league. Or should we trade Brandon Aiyuk for a pick and draft another wide receiver? Like, that's what they tried to do with Buckner. Didn't work out, but they could try again, a wide receiver.
Well, it's also what they did with Trent Brown. So they've tried this twice and it's failed completely. And now you're going to try it a third time? Good luck. Now, I understand that there's a lot of wide receivers that are very good, but if you get rid of Aiyuk, you lose a lot of what he can only do. The route running, the separation, the chemistry with Purdy, all of that is specific to Aiyuk. Can you get a rookie that can do the same thing? Probably not. And is he somebody that can learn the system quickly? The other factor is that
that's a big factor.
This is Purdy's final year. This is essentially your do or die year, because then you got to pay Purdy, and then what? So I think that they have to go all in this coming year, which is another reason why you keep Aiyuk, because given how fond they are of redshirting rookies, what kind of impact are you going to get from a rookie receiver if they're not willing to play him heavily to begin with?
Let me argue why they shouldn't pay. Let me try to make an argument why they shouldn't pay Aiyuk.
Okay.
They're never going to give him enough targets to justify it. They won't.
No.
I mean, he's great. On another offense, getting 150 targets a season, he'd be worth it. But on this team, in this offense, they're never going to optimize him, especially in the playoffs.
That's true. But even the unoptimized Aiyuk is vital to their offense. If you take him out, the offense drops off a cliff. Because you lose the blocking, you lose the ability to have a receiver that can beat a great cover corner. You don't have anybody. You're going to put Debo on a great cover corner. We already saw what happened there.
Right.
Trent McDuffie shut him down.
The problem is that you pay Debo, and then it's hard to move Debo. It's like, okay, yeah, Aiyuk's worth it, but $50 million between 2 wide receivers on a team that throws the ball less than every other team in the league. You're never going to get your bang for your buck spending all that money on a team that's throwing to tight ends and running backs and running the ball. So we'll talk about potentially moving Debo in a minute, but if they can't figure that out and they feel like that would hurt their financial whatever, the easy financially is trading Aiyuk. And if there's some wide receiver they fall in love with in the first round, got to remember they drafted Aiyuk in the back end of the first round too. So they do have some, credibility built up there.
Yeah. They've proven that they can at least identify somebody. They identified Debo, they identified Aiyuk, so they can, unlike Balky, figure out who's a good receiver. So that helps. But
I just don't understand why they didn't feature him more.
Backward.
If they didn't feature him so much in the playoffs, why are they going to give him $25 million now?
Because they can't afford not to, because the offense productivity takes too big a hit.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you made the initial mistake with Debo, and so you're locked in. But I think
we should start looking at potential wide receivers.
Oh, I am. I'm looking at receivers in the draft and seeing what they can do, who's a good
We might need to
blocking
do that.
receiver,
Yeah.
who puts in the effort, who's somebody that could potentially be an Ayuk for them. And so I'll talk about that next week. I'll have a draft piece on that specifically, that if they trade Ayuk, then what? And I'll go through the scenarios.
And remember, after they lost the Super Bowl last year, one of the first things they did was swap out their split end, get rid of Emmanuel Sanders, and bring in Brandon Aiyuk. So this is something they've done before. I wonder if they feel like the X receiver is a little bit on his own. He doesn't really go in motion very much. Maybe it's a little simpler. I don't know.
Maybe, well, could be, but Sanders was at the end of his career. It's a different
Yeah,
thing.
he just wasn't going to play anymore.
Ayuk is 25. He's still got a lot of years left in the league, so that's a different situation.